Okay, so did you know you're probably driving illegally every single day without even realizing it? Seriously. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to break down 5 totally common road marking myths that could literally cost you your license. Look, relying on that vague common sense you barely remember from your teenage driver's ed class? Yeah, that means you're likely breaking traffic laws daily. It's definitely time for a quick, urgent refresher before it actually costs you. All right, here's what we're looking at today. We've got 5 big myths: double yellow lines, center turn lanes, the painted median, decoding curb colors, and finally, blocking the box. Let's jump right into myth number 1, double yellow lines. So, most of us falsely believe these lines act like a literal brick wall, right? Like you can never, ever cross them under any circumstances. But the legal reality actually has some super essential exceptions built in for practical, everyday navigation. Get this, the law actually explicitly permits crossing these double lines to safely bypass an obstruction, like a fallen tree, or to make a left turn into a business or private driveway. And in states like California and Virginia, you are even legally allowed to cross that double yellow to safely avoid hitting a pedestrian, a bicyclist, or, say, a skateboarder, as long as you're doing it with extreme caution, of course. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. While exceptions exist, you've got to use them correctly. If you cross unlawfully, without one of those specific exceptions, and cause a crash, well, insurers treat it as negligence per se. That basically means the entire burden of liability shifts squarely onto your shoulders. We're talking points on your license, skyrocketing insurance premiums, and some major civil liability. Not fun. Moving right along to myth number 2, center turn lanes. Okay, it is incredibly dangerous to think of these as long-distance travel lanes just to bypass heavy traffic. We've all seen drivers get frustrated and jump into this lane to skip ahead, right? But doing that directly causes absolutely devastating head-on collisions. Legally, this is a strictly constrained turning zone, full stop. There is actually a strict legal boundary here. For example, in states like California, you are strictly prohibited from traveling in a center left turn lane for more than 200 feet before making your turn. 200 feet. That's it. Now, those distance constraints do vary slightly depending on your state. Georgia, for instance, gives you up to 300 feet, but the core principle is exactly the same everywhere. Now, a few highly localized areas might let you use this lane to temporarily merge from a side street and wait for a gap. But using it as a passing lane to skip gridlock, that's a guaranteed way to lose your license and put lives in danger. All right, myth number 3, the painted median. We see these all the time, and drivers often assume that 2 sets of double solid yellow lines spaced a couple of feet apart just mean, extra no passing or, hey, pay attention. But legally, they function identically to a raised concrete wall. No joke. Urban planners actually use these painted islands to manage high-speed traffic flows in places where physical concrete curbs would just be too dangerous or impossible to install. What does that mean for you? It means driving over them or crossing them to make a quick left turn or U-turn is totally illegal unless there's a specific designated opening. You really have to treat it like a solid concrete barrier because the law absolutely does. Next up, myth number 4, decoding curb colors. You probably assume you generally know what curb colors mean, right? But honestly, failing to grasp their specific regional rules and tricky hidden exceptions is literally the easiest way to get your car towed or get slapped with a massive parking ticket. So let's break this down real quick. Red means no stopping at all, though transit buses sometimes get a pass. White is strictly for quick passenger loading, usually a tiny 3 to 5 minute limit. Green gives you short-term parking, typically 10 to 30 minutes. Blue, while that's heavily enforced 24/7, strictly for disabled parking. But wait, here's the real secret, the yellow curve exception. While yellow is primarily meant for commercial freight, non-commercial vehicles can actually use the yellow zone for a strict 5-minute window to load or unload passengers. The catch? The driver has to stay with the vehicle. Knowing that one single exception can save you so much hassle in a busy downtown. And finally, myth number 5, blocking the box. Okay, we are all taught from day one that green means go, but the absolute sovereignty of the green light, yeah, that's a total myth. Under don't block the box laws, you actually cannot enter an intersection unless there is sufficient space on the other side to completely clear it. A green light does not obligate you to proceed if you're just going to end up trapped inside those yellow diagonal markings. You actually have to look beyond the intersection to your exit lane before you even think about taking your foot off the brake. Because think about it, if you blindly follow the car ahead of you on a green light and traffic suddenly stalls out, guess what? You become the primary obstacle. You're now completely obstructing cross-traffic flow, you're blocking emergency vehicles, and you're forcing vulnerable pedestrians and cyclists to weave dangerously through cars right in the crosswalk. And the real kicker here is the massive financial penalty you'll face for that split second of impatience. The fines are severe. We're talking anywhere from a $115 ticket in New York City all the way up to a staggering $183 fine in Oklahoma City, just for getting stuck in the middle. Plus, cities are cracking down hard on this. To maximize efficiency, places like NYC have actually reclassified blocking the box as a parking violation instead of a moving violation. This is a huge deal because it allows traffic agents to issue citations without even pulling you over. It also enables automated intersection cameras to just snap a quick photo of your license plate while you're trapped in the box, and then they just mail you an expensive summons weeks later. Wrapping up our explainer today, I really want to leave you with this thought. Now that you know the hidden legal reality of the roads, the 200-foot turn lane limits, the concrete wall nature of painted medians, the secret yellow curb exceptions, and the real meaning of a green light, how many traffic violations did you accidentally commit on your commute this morning? Seriously, keep these facts in mind the next time you hit the road, and you'll save yourself from fines, liability, and a whole lot of stress. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.